All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're talking about a family feud, a really bitter one that ended up creating two of the most famous brands on the planet. I mean, this is a story packed with betrayal, sabotage, and a rivalry between brothers so intense it basically shaped the entire global sports industry as we know it.
Yeah, you've seen the logos a million times, right? You've probably even owned a pair of their shoes. But I bet you didn't know that Adidas and Puma were born from this lifelong war between two brothers, a war where they would stop at nothing to destroy each other. And in the process, they didn't just tear their family apart, they split an entire town right down the middle. Okay, so let's rewind. Our story starts in a small German town called Herzogenaurach, and it's all about two brothers, Adolf and Rudolf Dassler. Now, they didn't have it easy. They grew up pretty poor and had to pitch in with their mom's laundry business just to make ends meet, because their dad's shoemaking job just wasn't enough. And these two brothers, they were like night and day, total opposites. You had Adolf, everyone called him Addy. He was the quiet, introverted one, a total genius when it came to designing shoes, just obsessed with getting every little detail perfect. And then you had his older brother, Rudolf, or Rudy. He was the complete opposite, the charismatic extrovert, a natural-born salesman who could charm the pants off anyone. So Addy comes back from fighting in World War I, and things are tough. His mom's laundry business, it's gone under. He's got no money, not even any electricity. But that doesn't stop him. He decides to start his own shoe company right there in the old laundry shed. And get this for resourcefulness. He's using scavenged leather from old army helmets, string from parachutes. He even rigs up a bicycle to power a leather trimmer. Just incredible. Well, Rudy sees what his brother's doing, and he immediately gets it. He sees the potential. So he quits his job and joins the business. And it was the perfect partnership, really. Rudy was out there handling all the sales, and Addy was in the workshop perfecting the shoes. Their skills just complemented each other perfectly. And no surprise, business absolutely exploded. They went from that little shed to a full-blown factory in no time. So things are going great. But as their success grows, so do the pressures from the outside world. We're talking about the rise of the Nazi Party, the upcoming Olympics, and all of this is about to plant the first seeds of paranoia and resentment. The very things that would completely tear their partnership and their family apart. You know, the Nazi regime's focus on sports actually ended up being a huge boom for their business. And yeah, both brothers did join the party. But their real breakthrough moment, that came at the 1936 Berlin Olympics. Addy does something incredibly bold and risky. He personally goes and convinces the American track star Jesse Owens to wear their shoes. And when Owens goes on to win 4 gold medals, wow. It was an unbelievable promotion that made them famous all over the world. Even though, as you can imagine, it made Hitler furious. So on this surface, everything looks fantastic. Business is great. But behind closed doors, the tension was just boiling over. I mean, the two brothers and their families were all living in the same house, and they were arguing constantly. The absolute breaking point, though, came one night during an Allied bombing raid. Addy and his wife rush into a bomb shelter where Rudy's family is already hiding. And as he gets in, Addy mutters, "The bastards are back again." Now, Addy swore he was talking about the Allied bombers overhead, but Rudy, he was completely convinced that his own brother was calling him and his family bastards. And that one comment, maybe misunderstood, maybe not, it just shattered everything. Any trust that was left was gone. And from that moment on, their relationship just spiraled into pure paranoia and eventually betrayal. And that paranoia, it didn't take long to turn into outright betrayal. First, Rudy gets drafted and sent to the front lines of World War II. But Addy, he gets to stay home and run the factory. This just fuels Rudy's suspicion that his brother is trying to get him killed to take over the business. Then, after the war, Rudy gets imprisoned by the Allies, and he's dead sure Addy tipped them off. So what does he do for revenge? When Addy is put on trial himself, Rudy testifies against him, his own brother. After that, there was just no coming back. It was over. The Dassler brothers' sports shoe factory was done. In 1948, after months of just horrible, bitter negotiations, they finally split everything. The assets, the employees, the whole shebang. They weren't brothers anymore. They were sworn enemies. And they would never, ever speak to each other again for the rest of their lives. And this right here, this is the moment the brands we all know are actually born. Addy takes his nickname, Addy, and the first 3 letters of his last name, Das, and smashes them together to create Adidas. Rudy, for his part, first calls his company Ruda, but then changes it to the much catchier Puma.
Their private family war was about to go very, very public.
I mean, this feud literally split their hometown in two. The river that ran through the town, that became the border. You had Adidas on one side, Puma on the other. The employees for each company had their own separate schools, their own shops, their own bars. They wouldn't mix. It got so bad the town earned a nickname, the town of bent necks. Why? Because the first thing anyone would do is look down at your shoes to see which side you were on before they'd even think about talking to you.
Okay, so one of the most critical battles in their rivalry comes at the 1954 World Cup. Rudi, over at Puma, thinks he's got a deal locked in with the German national team's coach. But they start arguing over how much he's going to pay, and while they're bickering, Adi swoops right in and steals the deal. Fast forward to the final match, it starts pouring rain, but Adi had given the German team his latest, greatest innovation, boots with adjustable screw-in studs. So while the Hungarian team is slipping and sliding all over the muddy field, the Germans have perfect grip. They pull off this miracle victory, Adi becomes a national hero, and Adidas becomes a household name overnight.
And this feud, it didn't die with the brothers. Oh no. It got passed down to their sons. So before the 1970 World Cup, the next generation of Dasslers make a pact. They agree that the biggest soccer star on the planet, Pelé, is off limits. They don't want to get into a crazy bidding war. But Puma's son, Armin, goes behind his cousin's back and breaks the deal. He secretly pays Pelé $125,000. And then, in a stroke of marketing genius, or pure sabotage, depending on how you look at it, he has Pelé ask the referee to stop the game right at the opening kickoff, just so he can bend down and tie his Puma shoes. Every single TV camera in the world zooms right in on that logo.
You know, even at the very end, the hatred just never went away. When Rudi was on his deathbed, Adi refused to visit him one last time. And when they both passed away just a few years apart, they were buried in the same cemetery in their hometown, but at opposite ends, divided, even in death, for all of eternity. So what happened after the founders were gone? Well, their sons really struggled to run the companies. They were so obsessed with fighting each other that they nearly ran both businesses into the ground. By 1989, the Dassler family was out completely. They'd sold both companies. It actually took new leadership, fresh blood, in the 90s to turn things around. And they did it by focusing on innovation and what was cool, instead of just the old family rivalry. The whole thing was officially put to bed in 2009, when the CEOs of Adidas and Puma held a friendly soccer match.
And here's the biggest twist, the ultimate irony in this whole saga. While Adidas and Puma were spending decades locked in this bitter, personal war, they took their eyes off the ball. They completely missed the real threat. And while they were busy trying to destroy each other, a new company from America, Nike, just quietly came in and ate their lunch, becoming the undisputed king of the market. It left the two German rivals to just fight it out for second place.
So that leaves us with this one big question, right? When you think about their legacy, was this mutual hatred just a destructive force that ended up holding them both back? Or was that intense personal rivalry the very thing that fueled them, the thing that drove them to innovate and to fight and to become the global giants they are today?